Hello and welcome to presentation of self-compassion. My name is Kelly Brevig and I come to you from Evergreen Youth and Family Services. I'm the Suicide Educational Services Coordinator there, and I tripped on self-compassion a few years ago and I am loving it. So I wanted to share with you some of the tips and tricks that I found. And everything that I found came from the works of Dr. Kristen Neff, and her website is here on the bottom, selfcompassion.org. You can find all kinds of really good information of hers that are online and really helpful. So please make sure you check her out. And she's got all kinds of conference webinars on YouTube, all kinds of good things. So in this presentation, we are going to explore the difference between self-esteem and self-compassion, what they are, how they're different. We're going to learn about positive and negative self-talk and what that looks like. We're going to discover our universality, how we are more alike than different. We're going to do some actual practice of self-compassion. We're going to practice gratitude, and I'm going to show you some printables that I can either send to you or I can show you where to find them on the web. So that is our agenda for today. And to get us kicked off, we are going to start out with a 5-minute meditation. This is so important to be able to set aside time and ground ourselves and to look for gratitude. When we are focusing on the present and the here and now, and take time to actually put away our email, silence our phones, listen to what our body is saying, sink really good into our chair, we are giving ourselves permission to be in the here and now. And sometimes in this very busy world of multitasking and just getting one more project done before we run to the bathroom, and oh, I took a sip and my coffee is now cold, kind of culture that we live in, it's okay to slow down. And it not only is it okay to do it, it's important. It is one of the most vital things that we can do for ourselves is slow down and be kind to ourselves. So I'm giving you the opportunity for 5-minute meditation here, and we are going to begin.
Gratitude. Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your awareness to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Take a few deep breaths. While you are breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face and your hands and your legs. Let go of all the tension in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall with each inhale and exhale, and allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Whenever you become distracted, gently bring your attention back to the sensation of your breath going in and out. Maintaining this mindful awareness, take a moment to reflect on gratitude. What are you truly thankful for? It's easy to forget that on the most basic level, we are alive and breathing. We may have problems and experience pain, but in many ways, we have a healthy life compared to other people. Think about the freedoms you have that many in the world don't get to experience. Think about the opportunities that are available to you. How might it feel if any of those things were taken away? Think about your relationships. What support have you been given throughout your life? Think of people who have been kind to you, the family members and friends who have supported you. Remember the teachers who have encouraged and taught you or have inspired you to learn. How much do you depend on the cooperation and support of other people? Think about how your home, your school, the food you eat, and the clothes you wear all come from the efforts and hard work of other people. And just take a moment to genuinely appreciate all of the freedoms, opportunities, and support available to you. Now, it may be that you're not feeling so grateful right now at this very moment, and that's okay. Just notice where you are and make the wish to feel gratitude. Now let all of your thoughts, images, and feelings dissolve, like a cloud dissolving in the sky, and let your mind rest. When you're ready, gently bring your attention back to the room and to the touch of your body on your seat.
All right. I hope that you were able to get a good couple of deep breaths in there and slow your mind down a little bit. That's what it's all about today, especially learning about self care and what self compassion is, taking care of ourselves. This particular meditation I did find on YouTube, and I apologize to the creator. I cannot remember who I took this from, but if you Googled or if you did a look on YouTube and Googled or put in their gratitude meditation, this would pop up, would be one of the first ones there. So it is available to you online. And talk a little bit about self-esteem and what is it? We've been told probably our whole lives, like, we got to increase that self-esteem. We got to, fill that cup up, make that person feel really good. Self-esteem can be defined as a confidence in one's worth, maybe a self-respect. Maybe that comes from achievement or satisfaction in something. And it can rise and fall with the circumstances. And if I, say, was in a play and I walked out on stage and I was full of confidence and I felt really good, I knew my lines, and I was just going to nail it. It was going to be a great show. And on my way out, I tripped and fell. That self-esteem would tank. And, it could very likely tank, and it can desert us when we fail. We can very quickly feel unprepared, embarrassed, and have negative messages being sent to us. Self-esteem can look like this. It can look like, look at that beautiful little girl, and I'm going to be Superwoman, and she's got all this confidence, and I love it. Really, really strong personality there. And we see someone that's climbed a mountain, and they're like, "Yes, I did it." Or look at this on a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy. Our self-esteem, who we see in the mirror, or what that climb to success looks like. Do we base it on money? Do we base it on career? Do we base it on security? What kind of satisfaction do we have from life? That's where our self-esteem tends to come from. We live in a world where we strive to be perfect. We want to be the best at what we do. Nobody says, I can't wait to be super mediocre in life. Like, no, I want to be the best at what I do. I want to drive for that. We want that gold medal. We want to keep pushing. We want to be special. We want to be above average. We don't want to be below average. We want to be above. If average really is a single number that's taken as a representative of all numbers. Look at that orange in the middle. That's the average of all performers. And honestly, that's where we fall. We're all average. Some of us, a little small percent, go into the top, and a small percent maybe are less than average, but the majority of us fall on this bell curve of being average. Now, if we were to ask, say, our partner, and we said, "What kind of a partner am I? What kind of a wife or a husband am I? Or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever?" And they said, "You're average." That could really hurt. We see average as an insult. We're going, no, I don't want to be just average. I want to be the best. I want you to say I'm the best that you've ever had, the best friend, the best partner. And like average, we take as kind of an insult. So we have to look at how we view average. Take a look at these boys here. Super cute boys. And they are showing their muscles. They're in their little muscle shirts and they're being tough. And they're being taught messages on what it's like to be a man. Check this out. Some advertisement out there, a lot of advertisement focused towards men, say that men have to have this six pack. They got to drink these lean muscle protein shakes. They got to be able to hang off a cliff with their fingertips and not break a sweat. They have to be rich and famous and smart and have the ability to do whatever they want at their fingertips. They have to have these bedroom eyes and be perfect looking. We put a lot of expectations out there on men and say, oh, to be the complete package, you have to do all of this. We're looking at here things that don't really exist in this world, or the very small percentile that is above average. The most people aren't going to be able to hang off a cliff by their fingertips or be throwing money up in the air and have no problem with it. That's just not reality. When we send that message to men that this is what they have to achieve to be anything, to be important, it sets them up for failure. In women, we know that we've been getting this message for years. We see all kinds of messages in media of how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to look. We're supposed to be tough, be able to fix anything, and be able to do everything, the work of the man and the woman, and birth babies, and still, go back to work and wear high-heeled shoes. God forbid we wear something sensible. And it's the message that we get. We have to be have a face put on before we can leave the house, and girls have to dress and look a certain way to fit in. The reality, as many of you probably know, um, images in magazines and in social media are altered. They're often airbrushed. This particular model here, I love what they did to her. They're showing that they skimmed her arms down a little bit, that they softened the creases in the collarbone, that they gave more definition to increase her bust, that they removed creases, that they slimmed her arms and her legs and her waist down, that they removed extra lines on her stomach. They made her eyes brighter and lifted her chin. They smoothed her hair out. They made her teeth whiter. They flattened her stomach. They like smoothed uneven skin tones. They did all kinds of things so that by the time this was done, this model didn't even look like herself. And we see that all the time. Is it possible that we can live up to expectations of this top percent of people that themselves don't even look like themselves? It is very, very difficult. So, what happens when we are set up to fail? Or what happens when we do fail? What happens when we can't hang off a cliff by our fingertips? What happens when we don't have all the money at our disposal? When we don't look like a fashion model, and when we don't seem to fit in because we don't have the right clothes and the right look and the right whatever? When we fail, or we presume that we fail, um, the amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze portion of our brain, sends an alarm out, and it sends adrenaline and cortisol, and it gives all these messages that, we are under attack. Something bad really happened, and we get flushed in the face, and maybe we're embarrassed, and we get negative messages sent to our brain, and now we become the attacker, and we are also being attacked. We attack ourselves for not being able to be perfect, when in reality, no one is perfect. We're all average. So, what are these messages that I'm talking about? I think you might know. I think that at somewhere in everybody's life, we say things to ourselves under our breath, in our head, when we do something really dumb or really embarrassing. We say, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not talented enough. Maybe I'm just a waste of time. I'm lazy. I'm just stupid. I can't do this. I can't make a mistake. I can't afford to. I have to be perfect. I'm not enough. I have to do more." We put this pressure on ourselves to go, 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 and to be all these things that are impossible. And we beat ourselves up for it. And this is negative self-talk. This is what I want us to try to catch when we say these things to ourselves. Catch it and flip that script into something else, because this negative self-talk, that's nothing but a bunch of lies. Of course we are enough. We are beautiful. We are who we are. And as long as we are trying and we are moving forward, it's okay. The difference between, or how we can flip the script on that, is by practicing compassion. Self-compassion. Compassion itself is a sympathetic concern for the suffering or the misfortunes of others. It is important to slow things down and to tell someone when they're struggling, like, "Hey, it's okay. I'm here for you. Do you want to talk?" We put ourselves out there for friends, for strangers, but we often don't provide that same level of understanding to ourselves. We don't apply it to ourselves. And we should, and we can, and it's okay to do so. I'm going to share with you a story. And yeah, this was taken from Dr. Kristen Neff. And so the story was two stories, same situation. A kid is is in school. He's got to pass a math test. And it's a really big test. It's really important. If he doesn't pass this test, he might not pass the class. He needs this grade to get into a good college. Everything is riding on this test. Kid comes home from school, walks in the door, and the dad says, "How'd the test go?" The kid says, "Oh." Hangs his head. I bombed it. I flunked. It was horrible. And the dad says, "You idiot. I told you you weren't going to be able to pass that. You didn't even try. You didn't study hard at all. You went out with your friends last night thinking that you can just do this. I hope you learned a lesson. You weren't made for college. What do you think, you can go off to some Ivy League thing here?" What an idiot. I knew you couldn't do it. I'm not even surprised. I hope you're ashamed of yourself for even thinking that you could do it. Kid really is hanging his head now. He goes into his room, shuts the door, and he sits down and probably doesn't ever open that math book again. Probably gives up on college, gives up on himself. Same situation, but the kid comes home. Dad says, "How'd the test go, son?" Kid says, "Flunked it. I bombed it. It was horrible." The dad says, "Ooh, that had to hurt. Oh, God, it was awful, Dad. I know how hard you were trying to study, and I know how much I mean to you. I can't imagine. You must be really, really feeling it right now." Kid says, "Yeah, I'm mad at myself. I knew I shouldn't have gone out with my friends last night, but I really thought I had it. Like, it's never been this hard for me before. I didn't think that I would flunk it that bad. Like, I honestly thought I would pass it. I feel so dumb." Dad says, "Hey, now wait a minute. You know, I know you tried. I know this is harder than it's you thought it would be. Life is hard. And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, you are not the first kid to flunk a test. And by golly, you are not going to be the last kid to flunk one either. It happens to the best of us. The question is, what are you going to do moving forward?" Kid says, "Well, I suppose. I don't know. The teacher said that he was kind of mad because a lot of people didn't do very good on it." Dad says, "Oh, didn't do very good?" Kid says, "Yeah, like a lot of people, they really struggled with it. So he said that, if we want to come in tomorrow morning, he'd help us with some of the story problems at the end, and he'd give us a chance to redo some of them and earn some of our credits back." Dad says, "Oh, that's pretty awesome. So are you going to do it?" Kid says, "Yeah, I'm thinking I might as well. I mean, if he's willing to help, is probably not a bad idea. I'm going to go in my room and try to look at this again and maybe call my friend and see if he's got some ideas. He seemed to kind of get it. Maybe he can walk me through some of this before tomorrow morning." "That's a great idea, son. I'm really proud of you. Good job." Kid goes in his room. Two very different outcomes to the same story. What if I were to tell you that the dad wasn't in either one of the stories? What if I were to tell you that dialogue was an inner dialogue, that first time the kid flunked the test, he said to himself, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I never should have thought I could even do this. What makes me think I'm so special that I should even try, that I should even go to college?" The kid's beating himself up. In the second story, the kid says to himself, "Oh, this sucks. This is tough. What am I going to do? I know I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not the only one. How can I fix this? How can I make it better?" That kid is willing to do something to move forward and make it better. To have compassion means to have empathy and understanding for a situation, for a person, to truly care and have concern for them, to be sensitive and gentle, to show mercy and kindness and be very tolerant, to have consideration for someone. When we have compassion, we are putting ourselves out there. We are saying, "I am here for you. I understand that pain, that it really must hurt right now. How can I help you? How can I be here for you?" When we are showing compassion, oftentimes there's a touch. maybe a hand on the shoulder that says, you are not alone. When we are giving self-compassion, anytime that we are touched, oxytocin is released in the bloodstream, opiates are released, feel-good chemicals are released to make us feel connected. When we have a kiss with someone, say a first kiss, oxytocin is released in our bloodstream and we bond. We have a bond with that person. When we show self-compassion to ourselves and maybe put our hand on our heart and acknowledge the warmth of that hand, the heaviness it feels on our heart, maybe if we rock gently back and forth and self-soothe that way, we are giving ourselves love and permission to feel the big feels, and we are allowing that to happen. We are allowing that release and self-love to go back inward. And it is so very important that we do that. Even if we feel silly, putting a hand on our heart is an okay thing to do when we're feeling overwhelmed. Taking that deep breath, grounding ourselves, super important. All right, I'm going to show you another video. I love it. I think it's really kind of quirky and silly, and I'm going to wait till the very end because that's where the credits are, and I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. I did also find this video from YouTube, and I really like it. So here we go.
To survive in this high-pressured, crazy world, most of us have to become highly adept at self-criticism. We learn how to tell ourselves off for our failures and for not working hard or smart enough. But so good are we at this that we're sometimes in danger of falling prey to an excessive version of self-criticism, what we might call self-flagellation. A rather dangerous state which just ushers in depression and underperformance. We might simply lose the will to get out of bed. For those moments, we need a corrective. We need to carve out time for an emotional state of which many of us are profoundly suspicious. Self-compassion. We're suspicious because that sounds horribly close to self-pity. But because depression and self-hatred are serious enemies of a good life, we need to appreciate the role of self-care in a good, ambitious, and fruitful life. To this end, we can perform what we've called a self-compassion exercise, a structured meditation lasting 15 minutes or so. Lying in bed, or perhaps a bath, turn over a sequence of thoughts that interrupt and correct the flow of your worst self-accusations. For a time, adopt an entirely kindly perspective on your setbacks. The self-compassion exercise goes like this. We're so in love with success, we fail to notice the scale of the challenges we routinely set ourselves. There is nothing remotely normal about what we've tried to achieve. We've failed, but given the mountain we were trying to climb, the conclusion doesn't have to be that we're simply fools. We have tricky family histories, we all do. There were things which happened to us at the hands of others which can help to explain some of our current troubles. We're not entirely sane or well, but none of us are. We weren't well set up to carry out certain tasks. It isn't wholly our fault in the here and now. From the media, you'd think everyone was rich and famous and successful. But in reality, undramatic, quiet failure is by a huge margin the statistical norm. We shouldn't tear ourselves apart for not managing to beat what were, in truth, awesome odds. Tough, self-critical people don't allow themselves the indulgence of believing in luck. They take responsibility for everything. They think winners make their own luck.
This one.
But they don't, for the most part. Luck is a genuine feature of existence. We're robbing ourselves of fair consolation by believing that we're entirely in control and therefore entirely to blame when we crash.
Ain't I a scoundrel?
You are not only your achievements. Status and material success are one bit of you, but there are others as well. Those who loved you in childhood knew this and in their best moments helped you to feel it. Rehearse the internalized voices of all those who've been kind to you. Bathe in the memory of a love independent of achievement. It seems it will never end. That's not the truth. It's just how a crisis feels. You need to reduce expectations to zero for a time. Take each new hour as it comes. And without being banal, what you need most of all is some rest.
Silly, fun video. But the schooloflife.com, boy, if you like that, check it out. The schooloflife.com, they have a ton of really cute videos like that. So I hope you liked it. So the video, we talked about our universality. We are a lot more alike than we realize sometimes. We don't have to be twins to be genetically genetic twins to realize that we have a lot in common. Everybody poops. In every culture, people smile and people love their children. There's a lot that we have in common. And with all of that, there are a lot of common hurts. There's a lot of common things out there that affect us in big ways. And what we want you to know, what I want you to know, is that you are not alone. You are not alone in any of that. It can feel like we're isolated sometimes. It can feel like we're the only people on earth that are experiencing this pain, this trauma, but we are not. We are never alone. Other people have experienced the same kind of thing. We're going to talk about this in relation to depression and anxiety. And if you tilt your head sideways, you'll see that these stats came from the website dosomething.org on depression and anxiety. Lots of really great information there. So to show how common depression and anxiety are, we're going to look at some statistics. 17.3 million adults in the United States have had at least one major depressive episode. That's 7.1% of all US citizens, all adults. 7.1% have dealt with depression. It is the leading cause of a disability in the United States for people between the ages of 15 and 44. It's an estimated 264 million people in the world experience depression. Anxiety and depression are pretty close. They're best friends. Usually about half, 50% that are diagnosed with depression are also diagnosed with anxiety. They like to go places together, and you'll see some of the common symptoms. In fact, anxiety is so common that it will affect almost a third. So nearly 30% of adults at some point in their lives will experience anxiety. It's closely related to eating disorders, sleep disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, body dysmorphic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. How about some chronic pain? Ever wonder where some of that is coming from? Or some obsessive compulsive tendencies or thoughts? All of this can be related to anxiety and depression. Anxiety disorders can be caused by all kinds of different factors. It can be trauma. It can be stress. Anybody have stress at work or stress with school or due to an illness? Maybe there's some substance use issues going on or family history of mental health issues. A lot of that, floats together. We know that there's an estimated 284 million people worldwide that experienced anxiety disorder in 2017, making it the most prevalent mental health disorder on the globe. Anxiety is common. meaning that if you're experiencing that, if you're experiencing shortness of breath and being afraid sometimes and not able to concentrate and maybe picking your hangnails and not being able to focus on something and forgetting people's names when you're talking, all kinds of things, you're not alone. That is common. The other thing they talked about there was stress buildup. And so let's talk about stress in the workplace. And again, if you tilt your head sideways, you'll see that this came from a website called stress.org. And it has all kinds of things on here. I only picked some of them. But stress in the workplace is super common. 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress. We spend nearly $300 billion annually as a result of workplace stress, and it causes 1 million workers to miss work every single day. There are about 43% of employees that think their employers actually care about that work-life balance. So less than half of us think that our employers care. So more than half of us think that our employers don't care about us at all. Depression leads to $51 billion in costs due to being absent and $26 billion in treatment costs. And it leads to 120,000 deaths and $190 billion in healthcare costs yearly. Some more stuff here. 55% of Americans say that, yep, during the average day, totally stressed. On a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 4.9. The age group that's saying this is usually between 30 and 49. That's the age group that's the most stressed. Generation Z, if you're listening, over half of you have been diagnosed already with a mental health issue. 83% of the US suffers from work-related stress. And I said that in the beginning. I just like to reiterate it because, man, if you're not stressed at work, that is awesome. I would love to chat because everybody gets stressed from time to time. In 2019, 94% of American workers report that they experience stress during stress at their workplace. Just about everybody. And it caused sleep deprivation for over 66% of American workers in 2018. So I'm not telling you all this so that you can be more stressed or you can be more anxious or have more depression. I'm telling you all this because if you're having those feelings, those thoughts, that reality of stress in your everyday life, that it's normal, that you're not alone. And there's an antidote. There's a cure for that. Maybe not a cure to make it all go away, but you know what? Self-compassion can go a long way to helping us find balance in our everyday life. And what it looks like is challenging the thoughts that we have. What intrusive thoughts am I having right now? What is popping into my head when I have a heavy workload on my desk and bills that are coming due and I'm not getting along with people at home and my coworker just said something and I think she's mad at me? What thoughts come into my head? Am I saying, oh, I'm never going to get out of this mess. I'm never going to get my report done on time. I'm not adequate to do this job. I'm not a good enough mother, a good enough parent, a good enough sibling or child. Are we saying those negative things to ourselves? And if we are, how do we flip that script? How do we stop that in its tracks and go, you know what? This is a lot of work on my plate. There is a lot of stuff going on here and anybody would be stressed out right now. We look at these 3 key things. We acknowledge, number 1, this is a moment of suffering. This really stinks. I am in a tough spot right now. There is a lot going on. And then we acknowledge, you know what? Suffering is a part of everyday life. Everybody suffers. It's normal to have bad things happen. You know, I don't like it. Nobody likes it, but it's going to happen. And can I be kind to myself? May I be kind to myself right now while I'm getting through this? Am I going to be my own worst enemy here, or am I going to be gentle with myself and get through this? How would we treat a friend? Would we tell a friend that was suffering, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Oh my gosh, just do your work. If you weren't so lazy, you'd get your work done. We don't say that to a friend. At least I hope we don't. We would say, you must be under a lot of stress. It's got to be really hard for you. What's that like? Do you want to talk? What are you doing for yourself to take care of you? We'd be really supporting that friend the best we can. We wouldn't be cutting them down. So we want to give ourselves the same treatment that we would give a friend that we truly care about. And as we're talking about friends, we really want to surround ourselves with people who get it. If our friends don't talk to us like that, then we need to find some people that do. And it's okay to do that. Setting up healthy boundaries is sometimes one of the most important things that we can do. I'm going to walk us through a self-compassion meditation. And again, this is stuff that I didn't come up with. This is stuff from Dr. Kristin Neff, and there's all kinds of research that's been done out there on self-compassion. I just really like this, and she was very giving with her information. It's all free out there, and so I wanted to put it together in a way that I can share it with others as well. And so that's why I'm doing this presentation. But for right now, I would like you to quiet yourself, quiet your mind, close your eyes if you can. Take a couple of deep breaths and really settle into your seat. I want you to think of a situation in your life that's kind of difficult right now. It's causing you some stress. Don't pick the biggest burden that you have or the biggest thorn in your side, because we want to be able to start with something that's really manageable, that isn't going to be too traumatic for you right now. Pick something that's difficult, but not overly so. Call that situation to mind and see if you can actually feel that stress and that emotional discomfort in your body as you're thinking about it. What's happening in your body? Are your shoulders going up into your ears? Is your jaw tight? Is your neck sore? Look down. Are your hands clenched? Are you tightening your gut? Are you able to relax? Thinking about this situation. What is her face looking like right now? Are we looking upset? This is mindfulness, knowing what our body is doing. And it's in this moment when we acknowledge this is a moment of suffering. This really hurts. I don't like the way that this feels. This is a hard situation. There is a lot on my plate right now. This is a lot for me to handle. We acknowledge that pain so that we can move forward. And then we say, suffering is a part of life. It's part of humanity. Other people feel this way. I'm not alone in my feelings. We all struggle in our lives from time to time. I'm not alone. Now, I want you to put your hand on your heart and really feel the warmth of your hands and the gentle touch on your chest. Maybe you put both hands on your chest. Maybe you rock back and forth in your chair. Maybe you self-soothe in another way. Maybe you run your fingers through your hair. Whatever soothing touch that you want, that you have discovered feels right for you, go ahead and do. Maybe you're putting your face in your hands. And we say to ourselves, may I be kind to myself? What do I need to hear right now to express kindness to myself? Is there some kind of phrase that jumps out at you in this particular situation? Maybe you're saying, may I give myself the compassion that I need? May I learn to accept myself as I am? May I forgive myself for what just happened, for what I did or for what I didn't do? May I be strong in this situation. May I be patient. Take another deep breath and go ahead and open your eyes. When we practice this mindfulness, understanding our suffering, knowing we are not alone, and giving ourselves a message and approval to move forward, approval to forgive, approval to give ourselves that love and that compassion that we need, then we can move forward. Here's a letter. This is another example of something that you can do if you wanted. And I've used this in the classroom with students. Writing a letter to yourself so that when something bad happens, that things don't turn out the way that you want, that you can go back and remind yourself that this is a hard time. This really, really hurts. That these big feelings are happening and you don't have to be perfect to have value. That I love you. I care about you. I want you to what? And it's okay that such and such happened. It's not the end of the world. You're not alone in this. And it's happened to other people too. You're telling yourself that you're not stupid, you're strong, and you are trying hard, and you are normal, and you're going to be okay. And you're telling yourself you're not ugly, you're beautiful, just the way you are, and that you were made as a unique person, and no one is exactly like you. And you are telling yourself that you're not worthless. You have the ability to do great things. You are loved and you make a difference in this world. You aren't alone. You matter. You're telling yourself that I accept you just the way that you are. I know that we can do better next time and we can try again. And we can keep moving forward. I believe in you. I love you and everything is going to be okay. It doesn't have to follow this template, but when we get used to telling ourselves positive messages, sometimes writing it down is the trick. It's the key. I'm going to show you another video, and this one is a very short one, and it talks about other ways that we can be self-compassionate. Here you go. So I came from Stanford Magazine, and again, I did find that on YouTube. I find that YouTube's got a lot of really good things out there and a lot of positive information for us. We're going to talk about gratitude, the importance of gratitude, especially in 2020. We never thought that it would be like this, did we? When 2020 is here, it is super easy for us to say, oh, this happened and that happened, and then the murder hornets, and then we were quarantined, and then this happened, and then that happened. And we can name off all these terrible things that have happened, right? Because once we start thinking about negative, it spirals and more negative seems to happen. There have been good things that have happened. I don't know what that means for you, but there are good things that are out there. And gratitude can grow inside of us just like those negative things. If we trick our mind and look for things to be thankful for, our brain will continue to search out those things. When I am in an incredibly snarky mood, one of the things that I like to do is make myself think of 10 things that I'm thankful for and just go quick, popcorn style. And I can be snarky. I give myself permission. So I might say, well, I didn't trip on the cat when I got out of bed this morning. And I guess I didn't spill my coffee all down my shirt today like I did yesterday. Pretty snarky things, right? But once I get to 8, 9, 10, I might be saying, oh yeah, I put that pot roast in the crock pot, so we're gonna have a really good dinner tonight. And oh yeah, I forgot that, like we did clean up the kitchen last night, so it's gonna be all clean when I come home. And oh yeah, my laundry's done, that's awesome. Or oh yeah, I am really thankful for my family. I am really thankful that my pet is there when I come home today. And oh yeah, look at that beautiful sunset. That's so pretty. I'm thankful for that. And before you know it, we're on 11, 12, and we're like, oh, how did that happen? I guess there's things that I'm thankful for. So I'm going to give you a challenge. And if you want to stop and do it now, you can. If you want to do it at another time, you can do that too. But this is a challenge that I absolutely love. Give yourself permission to have 5 or 10 minutes. And popcorn style, I want you to write the 5 senses down. Seeing, smelling, hearing, taste, touch. Write those down and think of 5 things in each of those categories that you are thankful for. 5 things that you can see. Maybe not right now, but you can see with your eyes. I can see the beautiful sunset tonight. I can see the flowers that are in bloom everywhere. I can hear the waves on the shore. I can hear the coffee pot brewing, and oh, I can't wait. I can smell the downy in my sheets, and it smells so good. I can smell the rain and the earth and it just feels so good. I can smell the lilacs. I can taste, sometimes I can just taste my grandma's favorite pie. And I remember what that was like. I can taste, what can you taste? I can touch, the furry softness of my pet. What things can you touch and taste and hear and smell and see that make you happy, that give you joy? And challenge other people to do the same thing. Take 5 or 10 minutes together and then share your answers and see what other people come up with. When we look for joy, joy will come to us. And it's hard when we're in a bad place, but give it a whirl anyway. Even if you feel snarky, go ahead and give it a try. Science has proven gratitude is good for the brain. So yeah, I'm okay not being perfect. I know I've made a lot of mistakes. I know I will make mistakes in the future, but I want to, be kind to myself and not let those mistakes stop me. And so I'm going to continue on and do the best I can. I'm going to share with you some handouts now, and these 2 and the 2 on the next page all came from a website called Sources of Strength. And Sources of Strength, either .org or their Facebook page, it's a really good place. They have a curriculum for students in schools on looking for the positive factors that we have in our life. This feeling wheel is one of my favorites. I am the kind of person that I don't know what I'm thinking until my mouth is done moving, or I don't know what I'm feeling until my lips have quit moving. Sometimes I might be, say I'm really angry about something and I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed with people, I have very short patience, and I'm looking and I'm like, "Oh, why am I so angry? Why am I so worked up?" And I look at this feeling wheel and I'm looking at some of these things and I'm like, oh, disrespectful or disrespected. You know, I feel pretty humiliated that I was disrespected publicly today in such and such, whatever. Maybe that's why I'm angry. And when we can identify that, then we can go, yeah, that really hurts. You know, I'm not the only person that that's happened to. Um, what can I do to change that? Maybe they didn't really mean to do that, but maybe I can have a gentle conversation with that person and let them know my feelings. The feeling wheel can work in all kinds of different ways, and it is very helpful as a good tool to move forward and understand where we're at in our feelings. This blob tree, I think, is genius. It's not mine either. It came from Sources of Strength. I have seen employers use this at the start of staff meetings. Give it to their employees and say, "What number blob are you? What number are you today?" Or color your blob. And somebody can say, "Boy, I feel like 19. I feel like blob 19. I feel like had a lot of things that were important and I accidentally let go of them. I feel really bad." Or somebody says, "I feel like number one, I feel like I'm just barely hanging on." Maybe somebody says, "I'm number 20, I feel on top of the world. I just got my stuff done. I'm ready to go on vacation." You know, without even having to explain our feelings, identifying which blob we are in this tree can help us understand where we're at and where other people are at too. That's what it's about for these next two pictures. These are coloring sheets that are also on that website. The first one is a strength check-in. On the outside of the circle, you'll see family support, positive friends, mentors, healthy activities, generosity, spirituality, medical access, and mental health. Those are the sources of strength that are referred to in the curriculum. And inside the triangles, I know it's fuzzy and hard to see, but when you print it off their website, you'll be able to see it better. There are things that you can color and say, "Oh yeah, I can vent to a person that I trust," and "Oh yeah, I listen to calming music when I'm feeling upset," and "Oh yeah, I journal all the time." And there's blank spaces in there. You can write your own things that you do for mental health and color them in. And at the end of it, you can see that, oh, maybe my family support is really strong. I have a lot of family support, but maybe my healthy activities are lacking. Maybe because of this COVID, I'm not really going places. I'm not doing the things I used to. Maybe that's one place I need to beef it up. Maybe I need to start walking or running or doing something more active that I can be doing right now. So it's a helpful way to help us find balance. This last one is called the Tangled Ball of Emotions, and it is really helpful, especially for us that, if we don't know what we're feeling, or if it's hard to talk about our feelings, or if it's really high stress and conflict in our family right now, and we don't know exactly how to talk about things. This is a great way to do it. Um, Even just putting this out there and saying, we're going to turn on some music, we're going to have some color time, make your own color key, and we're not going to talk about it right now. There's no pressure to talk about it, but color in the emotions that you feel right now. And then maybe the ones that we feel recently is a different color, and then a different color for that we felt but not recently, or something that we've rarely experienced. And when we do this, it can be really, really telling, and it can be a very powerful experience. And just to be able to look at other people's art in our family, or in our friends, to go, wow, I didn't know that, that you were feeling bored, or I didn't know that you don't ever feel heard. I am so sorry. or that you feel ignored. When we understand where other people are coming from, it can help us get to a common page and be kind to them and be kind to ourselves, help us identify our own stuff. This is our last page, and it is a not so shameless plug for the 14th annual Run Walk Skate for Suicide Prevention and the You Matter Chalk Challenge. This is the shirt we're going to have this year. Ain't that pretty? You Matter in buffalo plaid and our beautiful logo on the back. Each step forward is hope. Here's our sponsors. And if you go to BemidjiRunWalkSkate.org, you will find all the information that you need. And I thank you very much for listening to this training today, and I hope that you're able to take away some good tips and tricks to be kind to yourself, to slow things down, and give yourself permission to be kind to yourself. Because really, when we teach others how to be kind to us, and we give people permission to be kind to themselves. People are watching us. So when we show self-compassion, they will use those same tricks and tools for themselves. So do that. You matter. And I hope you have a great, wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.